How's it going, everyone? This is the Go Along podcast, and thrilled to have my main man, Tayland Humphrey, on the show for this episode. We almost connected in person down there in Florida a few weeks back. Weren't able to, so I'm so pumped that we can do this now on what's, a life-changing week for you, right? D-tackle, I should say. D-tackle, Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Probably takes on about 8-9 blockers at a time from what I can gather. How's life, Taylor?
And life is good, just spending time with the family, building up to this big moment, the next step in life. I've been dreaming about this my whole life, so it's just kind of crazy that it's all happening.
Gosh, it's got to be a relief too, with everything you've had to, from college football season to East-West Shrine game to pre-combine training to combine to everything is just a blur, I would imagine.
Oh, yes, sir. Just like now that I think back, like all my college days, starting from being in JUCO in Kansas all the way to Louisiana, it's just feel like it just happened in the snap of a finger.
So tell us a little about yourself. There's not a lot out there on you. We know you're a big man, maybe the biggest man in this draft. I don't know what kind of size we talking here. What kind of mass?
6'4", 328.
Not a lot of humans like that on the planet.
Oh, no, sir. And I'm very nimble with it too.
That's big. I mean, it's hard to find big guys who can move. But where are you from? Texas, right?
Yes, sir. Houston, Texas. And basically, just me growing up, it was just me and my mom the whole time, grinding. She was always at work, grinding, single mother. Then coming into high school, she had to work even harder because now it was me and my three other siblings. So I had to step up in high school, playing football. Then I had to come home after practice and take care of my siblings, make sure they had all their work done, dinners fixed, everything. Then when I got to college, and that's when my football career really started taking off. Because in high school, me and the coach didn't really get along that much, and I barely played in high school, and it was horrible. And when I got to junior college, I got the chance, and I took advantage of it.
So you barely played in high school.
Oh yes, sir. I barely. Let's see. My junior year, it was a sophomore starting over me. Then my senior year, it was a junior starting over me. So it was just kind of like I guess they was just trying to like make me give up or something. I don't know, but it didn't work.
Why do you think? What did he have it out for you? Why did you guys butt heads?
Honestly, I have no idea. I guess it was just coming some of my immaturity back then, probably. But I just feel like I could have reached way better potential when I was in high school.
Yeah, I mean, you're young, just kind of figuring stuff out too. So some of that mixed in. I imagine you were probably a pretty big guy though in high school. They could have used you up front. Oh, I think I lost you.
I got you, bad. See, I gotta go in the house.
All
Yeah,
right.
this Wi-Fi
Yeah,
not the best.
all right. I think that's good. That's a good spot right there. Um,
Sorry.
but actually, take it back a little further, Taylor. Like when you're growing up in Houston, I mean, how does that even work? How does a single mother take care of four? Right? You said yourself and three siblings. We've got two little ones right now, and we've got all hands on deck, and it's a lot. I can't imagine what your mom must have went through at that time.
She was. I used to wake up early. Like so, I was always when I was going to school. I was always like an early riser, like 2-3 hours before the bus came, so I could take my time to get ready. And she would be gone. My bus would get there at 6:30. I'm waking up at like 5, 4:30 in the morning, and she's already gone. And she used to tell me, she told me that when I was in high school, she used to be, she a CNA and a hospice nurse, and she used to be at her first stop at 4:30 in the morning because she used to go to house. Her day would start at 4:30, and she wouldn't get back home till like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Holy cow. Just nonstop. Literally that
Yeah,
long, the entire day.
yes, sir. And that was Monday through Friday.
How do you take care of kids when you, I mean, how did you guys even function day to day
It really
when
just took just like me, and I just helped her and stepped up and just like took care, help cook dinner and clean the house. And when she get home, only thing she had to worry about was eating her dinner and going to bed, focused on the next day.
yeah. What did that really do to you? How did that make you, that experience, you think?
It just really showed me that I really have to do something different to help her out, and so she doesn't have to work like this no more. And that's when I started. That's when I said, like, when I got to get to college and start this hype train or do something to get this thing started, because I got to make it somehow, some way, somehow.
Yeah, but are you really thinking NFL when you can't even play for your high school team?
I always had dreams, but in high school, I wasn't really thinking NFL. I was just kind of thinking, I gotta get to school. I gotta do something. But as soon after my first season at Hutch, I realized my potential. So it
Definitely
wasn't
want to
till
hear
then I
about
realized
that.
my potential and back in. So when I graduated high school, I moved in with a coach that was there, Thaddeus Brown. I think he's an agent now. And I moved in with him like 4 days after I graduated high school. I think I was like at least like 385 coming out of high school. I was just like, came out of that season, got big that last semester. Then when I got to Hutch, went there, I got to like 360 before fall camp that summer, lost like 20 pounds that summer. Then came in the fall camp, played that season at like 345, 340, and just went like all American. I had all every school in the SEC, the Big 12. But coming out, the big thing my mom wanted, she wanted my brother to come to college with me. And it was my second year in Hutch. That was his senior year of high school. She was like, I want y'all to play together and I want y'all to experience college together. So that's when we went to FIU. And then when we got to Florida International, the coaches and everything, I just didn't like it. It didn't mix well. So I responded immaturely. I wasn't showing up late to meetings, not caring, being nonchalant with everything. So eventually we had to leave the program. And then I ended up at Louisiana where things ended up working out perfectly.
Wow, I forgot about that FYU in between. So, but when you're at Hutchinson, is that the school in Kansas?
Yes, sir. The Blue Dragons.
A lot of guys come through. I want to say Devondre Campbell, the Packers linebacker, was out there.
Yes, sir. Devondre Campbell, Alvin Kamara, Everett, the tight end I think he played for the Patriots now. Um, Cordell Patterson. There's a lot of dudes out there that came out of Hutch that's in the NFL now.
I mean, you're talking about an ultra competitive environment where, I mean, everybody kind of knows it's a last chance resort. If you've got these pro dreams, I mean, this is a good place to do it. You're in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, what's even out there? What's life like in the middle of nowhere,
Honestly,
Kansas?
Hutch is one of it's like a big small town, so it's nothing to do, but they had like good restaurants and like good everything. Like it wasn't just like a ghost town. But it was definitely a struggle. Out there, it was all you had was each other. And then like when we got on that football field, the competition was high because everybody trying to get playing time. Everybody want it get to that point to where everybody's like, man, I got to get an offer. I got to get an offer. So when it gets to that point, it gets to dog eat dog, and that's when like practice gets serious. I never forget, man. It was a spring ball. We had like at least 50 scouts on the sideline, just lined up like it was like a pro day. And I'll never forget that practice. It was intense. Everybody was like, it was like game day.
I imagine it almost turns a little cannibalistic. Like you guys are teammates, but you probably want to rip each other's heads off because there's so much at stake in that kind of setting. Everybody's watching.
Oh yes, sir. It's really a lot at stake, and it really exposes like a lot of dudes' attitudes because you really got really expose you if you're a prima donna, whether you're gonna go complain to the coach about, hey coach, can I get this pass? Can I do this? Can I do something in front of these scouts? But the thing about junior colleges is like either you're good or you're not good, and sometimes you just gotta let the ball fall where it does.
How did you get confidence at that point? After not really playing in high school, but you got the they saw something in you. Maybe they just saw you. They're like, yeah, we want him in the middle of our defense. But at what point did you realize, okay, there's something here. Like I've got a future in football.
It was that fall camp because I'll never forget, it was the offensive lineman. His name was Seth. I forgot his last name, but man, that dude was tough. And I was just like, my first couple week, first week, he was killing me with my ass. And that it came out that second week, and I just like went crazy, started
Mhm.
making plays, and it was just like inevitable for him. Then they have to start me.
And you played a lot. I mean, obviously enough to get all these offers. I mean, and you said
All
there's
right, yeah.
SEC schools that wanted you.
The first season I had, I was first team all conference, all American,
Yeah.
and I think I was one of the top 5 recruits in JUCO after that season.
62 tackles, 12 and a half for loss, 2.5 sacks for somebody who's taken on double teams all the time, probably, right?
Oh yes, sir.
Man, so but and FIU didn't really go well then. I mean, did you get kicked out or did you just decide to leave?
No, I got kicked out because of the decisions I was making. Being immature and everything. They honestly, I would have kicked myself out too. Now looking back at it, if I would have handled it differently.
Good for you. I mean, I don't know if a lot of guys can kind of look themselves in the mirror in that way. Like what really needed to change at that point? So you're talking 2018 that would have been?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what
Uh,
happened?
I just felt like it just needed like I just like needed to mature, and I feel like that's what happened when I got to Louisiana. I had to. So a lot of people don't know. My first year at Louisiana, I walked on, and I had to pay my way. So doing that,
Huh.
that just really like humbled me and like made me like grind hard in the classroom and on the field. I'm pretty sure you can ask Robert Hunt, Big Dot on that played for the Steelers, like on scout team. I was killing them that year, going crazy, get scout team player of the week at dang there every week. So it was just a good experience, and I feel like I needed that, pave my own way, and really start at the bottom of the totem pole and work my way up to the leader I was my last year. And I felt like that did a lot for me in maturing and being a leader.
It that had to been humbling because you go from, I mean, you had offers from the SEC schools, right? Like is Florida, Alabama, Georgia, are we talking all the big guns? I mean, they wanted you at one point out of JUCO
Yes, sir.
to walking on at for the Ragin Cajuns. I mean, that's a shot to the system, and you didn't even really. I don't think you played in 2019, right? You just kind of
Oh
redshirted.
no, so that was my redshirt year.
Gosh, so when you're paying your way, what's that life really like when you're a walk on at a small school, kind of forgotten, kind of dismissed? What does it even look like? Are you having to like cook your own meals and work side
Uh,
jobs and that kind of stuff?
I didn't have to work side jobs, but I had to take out a hefty student loan. But everything, it was just kind of like I had to grind hard because I felt like in my head I said, if I don't, I said because Coach Nate told me himself, he said, I'm not just gonna give you the scholarship at the end of when you're eligible. He said you're gonna have to earn it. So in my head, I was like, man, I gotta do everything in my mind to convince this man to give me a scholarship and make me a leader on his team.
What did you really change in your lifestyle? Like, what was your lifestyle like maybe at FIU, and then what was it like when you're walking on, with the Raging Cajuns?
So when I was at FIU, I was partying a lot, drinking a lot, and just going out every night, not focused on school, not focused on football. Because really, when I was at FIU, they had people doing our work and everything. So it was just kind of, just do what you want kind of thing. But when I got to Louisiana, I realized like that wasn't it. That's not gonna get me to where I want to go. Like, and Coach Nate and him being around Alabama, Clemson, all them, the Arizona State and all the big schools he'd been at, and I felt like him knowing, like he gave me a good recipe and put me in a good structure to where I matured and I realized, I can't go out every night. I gotta wake up early, come get extra work in, come watch extra film, come do your due diligence, do the extra stuff, and it'll pay off.
Man, isn't that the truth? I think we all go through that when you get to a college, especially bigger school, and you've got that freedom, and you know it's a Tuesday, Wednesday night. Nobody's telling you not to go out and party. Like, you can just
Oh
go,
yeah,
get a few beers with your buddies. I mean, we just had a story up on Derek Carr. I mean, quarterback for the Raiders, where I mean he's living that way for a while. People didn't really know at Fresno State, and he had a wake up call, turned his life around, turned everything around. The other end of the spectrum, you have a Johnny Manziel. He just kind of keeps living that way, and
right.
wastes what could have been an unbelievable career. But I don't like. I think even beyond football, like we've all been there, right? Where it's like, okay, I've got this freedom. I got to figure out how to have a little self control in this situation.
True, that's what it's all about. And really, in this draft process, I really learned about self control because I had to change my diet and everything, and the way I eat, portion control. So, self control has been a really big thing for me lately.
Do you say FIU like they had people who just did your work for you too?
Oh yeah, whenever we like went to like the academic center, like I like come there, and I'd be like, they like the tutors. I don't know how they did. I don't know what they told the tutors or whatever. But all you had to tell the tutor was like, "Can you help me on this a little bit?" And like they'll tell them like you stuck, and they'll just type it up for you.
That
Like,
sounds like a violation. That doesn't sound
hey,
right.
well, I never forget. It was one dude. I forgot his name. It was like a chemistry teacher, and chemistry. I was in this chemistry class, and this tutor, and he every time we had a test, they put us in an empty room in the back, and then he did all my tests and everything, and I would think I passed that class with an A.
Oh, you got an A in chemistry. There you go. Man, we should have. You missed your calling, Tayland. You should have been a chemist. I laugh, but I imagine this is the case. That's probably the case at a lot of schools, right? But it's it's insane. Like, I mean, to be a tutor, to be like somebody from high above is like filtering that message down. I would think, like, just get them by, like, get them through, like, just yeah, who cares?
True, but that's what really like surprised me when I got to UL because when I got to UL wasn't none of that because I never forget the first time I went to tutoring I was sitting there and I was like, could you help me? Could you help me with this discussion? It was like I could give you ideas on what to write, but I'm not finna write it for you. You're not finna get me fired. And I was like, oh, it's real deal here. So I really had to buckle down and do my own work.
Yeah, I mean that it probably is for the best, right? I mean to let people kind of do
Oh,
their own work to an extent. And it probably helped you as a
so,
person,
yeah.
right? The fact that you actually had to do your work and do your classes. How did that help you when you got to Louisiana?
It helped me a lot because I realized like how important like getting that degree is, because that was like Coach Nate big emphasis, like you're gonna come here and be good at football, but you're gonna get a degree too. And I never forget, he told me he was gonna help me graduate. Now I definitely I graduated.
That'd be a good feeling, for
Uh,
you and your upbringing, and for mom. I mean, you get that diploma, you had that gown on, and all that. What was that like?
Oh, it was a wonderful feeling because growing up, my mom was like, I always told my mom, I said, because when I was little, I hated. She was always like, you don't have to learn how to drive. And I'm like, I hate driving. And I said, I ain't gonna need a driver because I'm gonna go to the NFL and I'm gonna have a driver myself. And she said, well, you're gonna have a plan B. Whenever you get to college, you're gonna have to get that degree. So as soon as I graduated, I said, here's your plan B. I got my degree. Now, how can I please go? Now, that next thing I just focused on straight football.
What was your major? What was your degree in?
Oh, general studies and science.
Nice. Anything particularly interest you down those lines? If way down the line after a 15-year NFL career.
I just want to be, I just want to be a good quality coach. Help kids and show them like it's a way out of the tough communities. It's a way out. It's always a way out. Whether it be the hard way or the easy way. Well, not really the easy way. The easy way is bad, but the hard way is not bad. Everything happens for a reason, and don't be afraid to take chances, because I took that chance going from Kansas, coming from Texas, going all the way to Kansas. So that was a big leap for me, because I wanted originally I was going to go to Kilgore or Tyler Junior College, but I took that risk and took that chance on leaving the state and going to Kansas and being the number one, ended up being the number one player in junior college.
Yeah, it's it's such a good lesson. It kind of it pays to step outside of your comfort zone. Is kind of what you're getting at, right? I mean, to just challenge yourself. Go somewhere that you
That's
weren't
what
even
it's all
thinking.
about, because you that's that's what I get it from. There's just you can never reach your potential in your comfort zone. That's what I was always told. Like, you get uncomfortable and you never know what could happen, and that uncomfortable becomes your new comfortable, and you just keep on pushing and pushing, and then you surprised about what you're doing now, but you've been putting in all this work, so it really just pays off.
You're right. I mean, we're all creatures of habit. If you do something again and again and again in that comfort zone, that's kind of it. Like, right, you almost have to consciously just take yourself to a different realm. Um, and I want to get to your playing days at Louisiana, but real quick before I forget, your hometown. What was that really like then? You kind of mentioned, you want to pass it on and help people that are maybe from some rougher backgrounds. What was it? Somewhat rough? And I didn't even ask you what was your dad in the picture? Did you have your dad at any point?
Oh no, sir. He was never really in the picture. He got out of jail when I was around 12, 13 years old. And when I went to visit him, things didn't really work out. So like I started heading down the wrong, started failing my classes in high school when I started to visit him and everything. So things didn't go as well when I started. So I just cut ties with him, and yeah, everything worked out.
That could not have been an easy decision. I mean, your dad
Uh,
gets out of prison. You're what, at 12, 13? That's an impressionable age. You probably were dying to have a relationship.
True, but I couldn't be mad at him making the decision he wanted to, and him choosing the life that he chose, because I can't control nobody.
Was he in there for a while? I mean, how long was he?
Honestly, I have no idea. I just remember him never seeing him ever. Then out of the blue, my mom was like, "Come on, we're going to see your dad." And I was like, because growing up, I thought my stepdad was my real dad, but it turns out like I was calling him dad, daddy, all that stuff. But when the kind one day I forgot some like mess up stuff happened, and my mom was like, "You know what? I'm about to go take you to see your real dad." And I was like, I was kind of confused.
Hmm.
Then I was just surprised, and he was just when he came, when he was in the picture for a little bit, it was good, but then it turned really bad.
Hmm. It, so it got bad, and you just realized best to cut it.
Yes, I just cut ties.
Man, not easy. I would think to not have, a stable that stability, in the picture. But yeah, at some point you kind of grew up and become a man yourself. I mean, maybe what you went through there at FIU onto Louisiana is kind of that was kind of your awakening. That's kind of when things clicked and you became your own man.
Oh yes, sir. That's when I really when I got to Louisiana is really when I became my own man. I feel like I really hit that maturity after my redshirt year when I realized like I really could do this, and I really got a whole coaching staff that believes in me, and really just had to really like the way it worked over there. It was kind of like it was kind of like basically like a accountability thing where like if you don't do it, it's on you. And everybody, like we all held each other accountable. So I had my teammates, hey, tell them we need you to drop this weight. They was on me, the coaches was on me, like, you need to drop this weight, you need to do this, do better in the playbook. And I never wanted to let them down because I never wanted to feel that feeling of letting them down. So I always try to strive to make them feel confident in me that I'm gonna be able to do what I have to do on and off the field.
How high did your weight get, and then what did you get it down to?
So the highest I ever been when I was at FIU, I was like, I got to like 398, almost 400. And
Man,
when I got to Louisiana, I dropped down my redshirt year. I dropped down all the way to 360. Then after that redshirt year, I dropped all the way down to 340 for my last two seasons. And right now I'm sitting at 328, so it's going pretty good.
holy cow! I mean, it's almost 80 pounds from your highest.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
how did you carry that weight? I mean, that's a lot to be out on a football field at that.
Crazy part is I didn't. You could watch like if you look at my pictures of when I was at FIU, you could see like how big I was. I was just like I just felt like immobile. Like I was just like just standing there taking on blockers, not getting off, making plays or anything. I was just big.
Yeah. So when you were really kind of turning that corner at Louisiana, what was your game like? What should people know about you as a football player in the middle of the defense?
Just a established run stopper. I just feel like I'm one of the best run stoppers in the draft, and not really the top run stopper in the draft in the middle of D tackle because of like the way my power and my get off, my hands and my feet. Like all year, I felt like I just dominated in the run, and I feel like I showed that in the Shrine Bowl against higher competition. So I just feel like I could do it at that next level.
The numbers don't always, do a guy like you justice because I mean you had 31 tackles, 1.5 for loss, 3 pass breakups, a block kick, a hurry last season. But I would think in the Sun Belt, you're probably at the top of everybody's game plan. Like, you're facing 2, 3 guys at a time.
Oh yes, so I feel like after my first two games, so coming before the season, I had to get a PRP shot in my right foot. And coming off of that, I was out for like 2 weeks, and I got really bad. Like, I got overweight, and I had to play that Texas game a little hurt, so I was just
Mm.
feeling sorry for myself. I was in a bad mental space, so I was overweight for the first two games, bad mental, everything. And that after that Nichols game, I don't know what happened, but it just kicked in to where I lost, got back down to my playing weight and started really dominating. Then all of a sudden, we started holding teams to under 100 yards rushing, and we took off.
Yeah, which your run defense. I mean, Louise. I feel we had Isaiah Likely on our happy hour at Go Long last night in Coastal Carolina, Louisiana. That's a nice little mini rivalry there. It seems,
It
but
was, it
the level
was.
of football is pretty good. I mean, for people who don't know, I mean, this is there's a ton of talent in these games.
That's what people don't understand about like the group of five and the Sun Belt. Like, even though we might be the Sun Belt, like we got talent, we got competition, we got everything. Like it's not just it's not a cakewalk.
Not a cakewalk, and then I mean, you guys gave Texas everything they could handle in the opener, and then you won 13 games in a row. So I mean, you guys just obliterated teams week in and week out.
Yeah, so I feel like after that Texas game, we really came together and said like that's never gonna happen. Like we never wanted to feel like that ever again. So we just buckled down and went head on. Everybody was doing their job. Everybody like all the big guys, like including me, coming in getting extra cardio before practice. All the people who needed treatment in there three times a day getting treatment. So really just like the accountability of that team is really what brought us as far as we did. And
I'm just
we had a good defensive coordinator too in Coach Tony, and he came up with, even though we had a complex playbook, it was wonderful to play in.
how complex was it? What made it different?
It's just the mix between 3-4 and 4-3, the hybrid defense to where you never know. We could be in the overload, we could be in even, we could be in regular over. You never know, depending on the week.
I mean, Malik Willis might go. He could go as high as six overall to Carolina. He could go pretty dang high. You guys pounded Liberty 42-14. Malik Willis had 14 completions, 20 incompletions, two picks. But this is the number that really pops to me. I mean, I'm sure you remember this night well. Like 20 carries, 28 yards. I mean, imagine you sacked him a ton too there with those college statistics. But he had a 23-yard run. Other than that, so you're talking 19 attempts, 19 times he went to run the ball. He had 5 yards. I mean, you guys were just living
But
in that backfield. How did you do it?
that O line wasn't really that good. But I felt like if he would have had an offensive line, it would have been a he would have had a better chance against us. But our front was just so much better than their front at the time. It was just really unfair to him. I feel
Hmm.
like
Really?
because I remember my teammate Chauncey Manac, number 17, he had like 5 or 6 sacks against him, just eating that tackle up. Not he didn't even have a chance to throw the ball downfield most of the time.
That's interesting. I mean, so are you almost maybe even a little impressed then that he could do anything with that line?
I never forget, man. We were all, it was like, I think I'm pretty sure the whole D line was in the backfield. This man was rolling out, gets hit in the hips and throws like a 60-yard bomb for a touchdown. I was like, he couldn't even follow through his hips. I said, shit, I see why he first round, like, you know what I'm saying? I see, like, I feel like if they put an O line in front of him, he's gonna do amazing things. Just like he at the Senior Bowl when they put an O line in front of him, he was going crazy.
It's an element to him that I guess it's easy to overlook. You can think, okay, what's the competition? Is he really processing things out there as a quarterback from the pocket? but the talent around him isn't that great either, right? I mean, you can't control who he's playing,
Dude,
but he didn't got much around him either.
that's how I like feel like football is like a team sport. Cause I'm pretty sure if he would have been on, Auburn or like one of the Power Five schools with a big offensive line, he'd probably be higher than Kenny Pickett or somebody.
How did you find yourself then? When did you realize, okay, I'm doing something here that maybe a lot of guys aren't doing because the way defenses, offenses have evolved, everything's more spread out. There aren't a lot of big dudes just eating up blockers today.
It's really that first game against Iowa State coming out, haven't played a game in a year over 2 years. I haven't played a game, so it was just like I went out there and doing what I did against Iowa State and us winning. That's when the switch clicked to where I knew I could really do this.
And you got, I mean, you're in the 320s. How did you lose all that weight to get to this point? What did you do to your diet? What kind of training are you doing? How did you
Well,
get yourself into shape like this? And why did you do it? I imagine it's to get off blocks, maybe be a little more explosive. But take us kind of through that whole
so the reason
metamorphosis.
I had to lose weight is because the speed of the NFL is way faster, and a coach told me when I was on Zoom, he was like, it's not about just dominating. It's about you got to be able to stay out there and be conditioned too and be able to play 60, 50 plays a game. And I told myself, like, I got with my trainer and my chef, and I was like, we got to get this right. We got to get this weight down. So, chef, she's bringing me 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner. I was staying at a hotel, so I could eat. I used to eat sausage and oatmeal for breakfast, and then lunch. She would bring me my lunch and dinner and pre-cooked meals, preset portions. And I'd work out all morning long from 9 a.m. to 12. So I just put in the work, and it take a lot of self discipline because everybody trying to lose weight. You got that voice in your head. Man, it's not going. It's only one. It's only one, and one turn into 10. Three turns into four. And so you just gotta fight that voice in your head and stay disciplined.
Oh, I know. Isn't it the truth? I mean, it's difficult. I don't know how. And somebody who is a bigger guy who probably loved a nice hearty meal, was that
Man,
was that tough? Like how did you just make that switch and say, all
it
right,
was
I guess what were you eating before, and then what's one of those pre-cooked meals they're giving you too?
so what I was eating before, I was eating like fast food. I was eating snappers, Burger King, all the bad stuff. I used to like I still like it, but I just can't I don't eat it right now. But when I got my nutrition and everything, I started eating, chicken salads, soup, portion size meals. I learned about portions, sodium, sugars, and everything. So just like learning that just took me to a whole nother level.
Was it hard though? Do you miss, getting a nice double Whopper from Burger King?
Man, do I? My order used to be that number 8, the Bacon King.
Oh, oh my gosh. Well, I guess when the NFL is calling, some sacrifices can be made then.
Gots to, man, because to get where I want to go, I know I'd have to sacrifice it someday. So I felt like when that day came, I was ready mentally.
What's the NFL getting? What are you telling teams?
Man, I'm telling teams that I feel like I'm the most dominant run stopper in the draft, and that I could come in and be a day one starter and make an immediate impact anywhere I go.
Because there's not a lot of big men who can move. I mean, we just had a story up. Bob McGinney's breaking the draft down for us, and that was his whole point. Like how many just big guys that can move. there's not a lot on the planet. There really aren't.
It takes a lot because when I was little, I was never one of them, fat kids, stay in the house type kids. I was always the run outside because I grew up in the kind of the country to where we used to chase chickens, we used to ride on pigs, we used to play in the woods, we used to be outside all day. Because when I was young, I used to spend a lot of summers and weekends with my grandpa and grandma. And my grandpa was real old school traditional. He'd wake us up every morning. We had to do something, whether it be clean the garage, wash the house, or like cut the grass, do something, do our chores. And then he'd lock us outside all day. We only time we could come inside, he used to put toilet paper in the garage so we couldn't come inside. We used to have to take a dump in the
Really?
yes, we had toilet paper outside. And only time we could come inside was to come in at lunchtime and fix a sandwich. And we the only thing we had to be inside before the street lights came on.
I mean, so no video games. You're not holing up playing Halo.
Oh no, we used to play video games. We had me, my brother, and my two cousins. We had a PlayStation 2, and the only games we had Madden, and we had Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Them the only games we had. So we only played them at nighttime and in the morning. So we used to always be outside, be active. We used to be in the woods. I always think about those days, man. And I'd do anything to get them back.
What was the hardest work that you had to do out there? I mean, you listed off a few things.
I feel like cutting the grass because my grandpa was so specific with his lines. If the line wasn't straight down and the lines wasn't going in the correct pattern, he had to start all over again.
Really?
Yep, he wanted his yard perfect all the time. And it was just hard work all the time. And he made us earn our playtime.
I love it. I remember growing up, me and my brother, we'd have to split our lawn. I had the top, he had the bottom, and my brother. I hope Austin listens to this. I'm gonna tell him to listen. He was meticulous like that too, where he'd finish his job and then he'd go over to my territory and clean up all the corners that I cut. Just I think it got to a point where he was just trying to stick it to me, you know. But it was I think maybe he was just that meticulous, you know. I don't think I
Too.
cut any corners. I think it was good.
My grandpa was very specific. I'll never forget. One day it was after we finished mowing the lawn, we was outside playing all day. It was finna storm, so tried to come inside. Then we all tried to go hop in the shower. We was all waiting in line for the shower. I think my little brother was in there. Cousin, he said, "Y'all not finna run up my water bill now." He said it was like storm. You know how like it's storming outside to where you can't see, like you can't drive. That man put us out there with a bar of soap out in the rain. We was out in the rain in our underwear showering, and he was sitting right by the door making sure everybody got clean, and he had towels for us as soon as we came inside.
Are you serious? How old were you then?
I think I was like 10, maybe 9, 10 years old. He made a shower outside. I'll never forget that.
Oh man, well I imagine you appreciate hard work then, and anything that comes your way when you're literally showering in the rain after working all day for your grandpa.
Oh yes, sir. I never take anything for granted ever. Cause he really made me like now like thinking back on it, he really made me like appreciate how simple life was back then. And
Yeah,
like how to like enjoy being a kid, go out there cutting the lawn for your grandparents and doing all this stuff. And if they were still here, I'd go do it again for any time.
God, yeah, it's such a good point, man. Everything is just simulated in 2022. You know, you want food, you press a button, Uber Eats. You need a ride, you press a button. You need entertainment, you got a zillion streaming apps. It's just everything is just kind of spoon fed to people of all ages. And I'm not being a curmudgeon. I mean, young and old, everything is just kind of there's a value to just being outside, working your ass off, showering in the rain, chasing chickens, doing
So
everything you did.
that's what I don't get about kids. Like I walk around, I see kids. I don't even I go jog around the neighborhood. I don't see no kids outside. I'm just like, man, they all face deep in them iPads and technology. So I'm just like, I want like me, I want my kids, I want them to be outside. I want them to play. Cause I remember never forget, I see like 4-year-olds and everybody walking around with 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds walking around with cell phones, iPads. I said, I didn't see a cell phone till I was in high school. And that was only a text phone. So I could only imagine kids nowadays, they got better iPhones than I got.
Isn't that disgusting? It's crazy. I mean, you're right. 4-year-olds with cell phones is a thing in the world today.
That's what I'll never get that. I'll never get it.
Man, you know what we do? We have a 2.5-year-old and a 9-month old, and after a couple episodes of Bluey, the TV just tends to just break. It's just not working. Which Dad may just unplug it for a while, and then it's just time to play. So, when you do have kids, that's a good little maneuver. Just unplug it. Just say TV's not working.
Dude, that's what kids. I feel like kids nowadays they don't understand what advantage it is to go outside and play and what that does for you when you're older. Having those memories. Like I have all those memories of like me and my cousins playing outside, going swimming in the creek, picking berries and everything. So
Yeah.
we would always have fun outside, always come up with something to do. So I just glad I have those memories, and I feel like kids nowadays, all the only memories they have is the iPad.
It's what it's about. Memories, making memories. Like you think back, you don't think about a video game experience at 7 years old against a stranger. You think about standing in the rain to,
So
for the bar of soap. Yeah, it's
yeah,
so
standing
true.
out in the rain, playing, doing all type of fun stuff,
Yeah,
man.
love it. Love your perspective on life, Taylor. That's incredible. Hey, before we lose you too, like your visits with teams. I think I had seen something reported. Have you done some top 30 visits? What kind of
Uh,
interest are you getting?
yes, sir. So I did a top 30 visit with the Chargers on April 6th. And then I've got on Zoom with the Rams and the Raiders. So I feel pretty good about the West Coast,
Yeah.
hopefully. But if I get to go to Vegas, that'll be a dream come true because I love Vegas.
Yeah, that's not a bad place to live. Same with anything you just listed off there seems pretty good.
So
Anything any crazy questions you've gotten along the way, and anything that just kind of made you even at the pro days?
not really. They all kind of asked like the same question, they asked about like Florida, like about me at Florida International and about my upbringing, because a lot of people don't know about my upbringing and how I was raised. So that was the main questions.
And any expectations? Do you have a goal around that you're hoping to
My
go?
expectation is like anywhere between third and seventh,
Yeah.
hopefully. But if I go UDFA, I won't be mad either because I know all I need is a chance. And I see like most dudes in the NFL that are starters and pro bowlers and all that, they're not even, most of them not even first rounders, most of them are undrafted.
Yeah. And there's a role. I think if we learned anything from this past year, it was kind of a throwback season where teams were running the ball, stopping the run. Maybe not like they were in 1995, but that there was a value to punching the team in the mouth in the trenches, where
So
you still need somebody who brings what you bring.
I feel like football is just like a the game is just like a revolving door. like right now it's all about being flashy and all the passes, and I feel like soon it's gonna get back to run stopping and running that ball, because everybody is signing these pass rushers and getting these skinny D tackles to pass rush and everything. And I feel like the game's gonna go back to power run downhill and everything.
And you know what? Maybe sneak a whopper in here or there, or that number 8 that you said. Maybe
And
once you
I
get
got it.
drafted, reward yourself a little bit, please.
Oh yes, sir. Hopefully.
Hey, dude, thanks so much for going deep here. That was phenomenal. Just an incredible life perspective. Um, yeah, you got big things coming. So where can people find you on social media and all that good stuff?
So all my social media is the same as big underscore saucy underscore. So this
Nice.
on that's for Twitter and Instagram.
Hey, that could be a good marketing ploy there. Big saucy. I like it.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, good luck to you. Thanks so much for doing this, Taylor. That
Okay.
was awesome.
Anytime, Mrs. Holler. Anytime.
All righty. Hey, we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.